Hi, hi, it's Hazel. I really should try out my voice before I hit play. Hi, it's Hazel. Welcome to my channel, Hazel Anaka Design. I am hoping that you're a little bit like me and that over this Christmas holiday that's coming, that when you have enough of the eating, the game playing, the wacky relatives, the need, when you have the need to escape, you may just find a phone or a laptop or a TV where you can get your fix of YouTube videos. I know that's what I'm going to do. So I am trying to get a few videos scheduled and what I call into what I call a slush pile. And yeah, just so there's some content for those times when we all need it. Let me begin by thanking you for being here. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome. I've come to know and love you guys, and yeah, it feels weird. It feels like something's missing when I'm not interacting with you. So I'll probably have to say this in a few videos because who knows what will be scheduled when. I wish each of you a blessed holiday season, regardless of what you call it or how you say it or when you celebrate it, as well as a renewed sense of hope and joy for 2024. In many ways, 2023 has been a tough one. What with, cost of living, people suffering, with the high prices and so on. As always, regardless of when it is, there are people that are getting scary medical diagnoses. There are people who are losing their jobs. There are people who are losing loved ones. There are people who are just generally not feeling well. So, yeah, I think it's important that we try to regroup, and tomorrow's another day. That whole line about if I'm not pushing up daisies, it's a good day kind of thing. So I think that this hopefully will be a fairly quick and easy one. I noticed that I had a bag of thrifted jewelry lying around, and I must have shown this to you in a thrift haul video, but the jewelry in itself isn't very usable to us unless we break it down. Now, without your presence, without your permission, I already took apart something that had that had all these pieces. I'll just show you. I don't know what. So I put the chain aside. I left some of these a little bit bigger, not really knowing what the ultimate end use will be, but knowing that you need a variety of sizes. So for instance, something like this or this, excuse me, could be part of a spine dangle. And I guess that reminds me, geez, I need a fisherman's friend. That reminds me that what was I trying to say? That I almost never use spine dangles, and I don't know why, and I'd better remedy that. I think I'm going to use some gum instead, so just forgive me for a second. Sorry. So there are other pieces that are long and skinny, so it's easy enough to, okay, so the bigger ones, long skinnies, so it's easy to just add a bulb pin or a safety pin or even stitch something like this onto a page edge or whatever we choose. And you'll notice that this color falls into the blush category, which you will be seeing more and more of. These are single beads, and I left the split ring on them just for a little more flexibility maybe. These are good to just add on to the edge of to a tab or a cluster or something like that. So that's that. Oh, this was in, I guess, a bag of some sort. It really has no useful purpose other than if I, oh, and it's got some diamonds missing. I think it's too heavy for me to cut through with a hand tool. So maybe this just becomes a little bit of sparkly stuff here in the studio. Or if I find that some jar that I have needs a cover. Anyway, this is a pendant. So that is kind of ready to go as it is. Now this one, I cannot tell. I should have a little bit of I should have a magnifying thing of some sort here. I don't know if you can see what that is. This red and green reminds me of Italian colors, but I don't know what that is. It's a symbol of some sort. Now this is just on fishing line. So I think what I'll do, and I have a couple of empty containers here to contain things. I think I've said in the past, I'm just reaching for some tools here. I've said in the past that when that I can only wear real gold or stainless steel. So for, excuse me, so for a while there, I was making my own jewelry. And again, if you can't use any of the sort of the traditional clasps, mine was usually on elastic cord or whatever, and really very basic. Where was I going with this though? Maybe it'll come back to me. So I'm just going to cut through the fishing line and hopefully catch all the beads in here. I still have a couple of things that I have to get on my hands and knees for and look that have fallen off my desk. Oh, I still managed to have a couple roll away. So I do save little gizmos like this, thinking that, you know, I can probably use it. So we'll just make a little pile of those. Let's see if I have a magnifying thing that I can easily, oh, here's one. This looks like an old timer. I do have a jeweler's loupe, but of course it's nowhere near where. I could have a good look at my lifeline while I'm here, though. Let's see if the other side is more readable. No idea. So this I will separate into smaller, into the different categories. Oh, I see that the green, well, oh, some red ones too. Some of them have the little, I guess that's called a head pin. So it's easy enough to add those to something. So what I'll probably do, but I don't want to get bogged down on one necklace and then realize that we've been here for an hour and 5 minutes and we didn't really see much. So let's set that aside. I think what I would do though is separate them, because I find this a bit distracting and busy. Because some of these have the bigger things, I would probably find a, not a paper clip, probably a bulb pin, and string as many on a bulb pin as I can just to hold them all together. Okay, then there's this. This is big. You gotta be, you gotta be a little bodacious to pull this off. So let's take it apart. I do have some necklaces that I made using lace or cord, and if they're long enough, you don't need a closure. And of course, they're not going to give me a rash either. So I'm just undoing the knot so that I can get these guys off there. And it appears, okay, let's just undo this and see. Oh, brother, I think I have to cut this off because I should get scissors. Because those, or do they have? Maybe the hole is big enough to thread it through. Nope. So again, I save the scissors getting a bit. That didn't solve the problem, did it? Because I still have them hung up on that end. And another sort of loopy thing here. Because of course I want to preserve as much of this length of cord as I can. So this has to come off as well. Now there's a cute little whatever that is there. So we'll just leave it. I tend to keep short lengths of chain kind of together. Try to separate it usually by the color of metal. So copper would be by itself, silver would be somewhere else, and gold somewhere else. Oh, these are those, what are they called? Pandora type beads that have those gigantic holes. We'll put those there. The cord will go aside. And this is way too chunky for anything. So what I'll do is just open up the split ring. And typically, now this is a bigger ring and it's going to be heavier metal than some of them. Typically I would just use a finger and one plier and apply enough pressure to just open it slightly. But in this case, because it is thicker, you want to I was going to say you want to get a good grip on it. Now these are long. Well, no, they should have, anyway, who knows? They should have held, but they didn't. Oh, see? I could take it off the smaller ring too. Maybe that makes more sense. So you basically want to get as close to the little connection as possible. Open it up only enough to slip it off and then close it again. I don't know what that says either. But as I've said before, I don't need to know everything. Okay, this has 2 rings. We'll leave both of them on there. We'll just take it off the bigger ring. That looks like a real key. Somebody punched in a design and a year. That's probably a duplicate, a replicated kind of thing. So I don't know. It is the what day is it today? I think it's the 19th. It's Tuesday, the 19th, I believe. And I am just horrified at how, oh, wrong one, at how quickly this month and this year it has flown by. I know that, you hear that all the time. You've probably said it yourself. But really, when I do the math and I count down the number of days that I have left to get some things done, it is downright scary. And I know I talk a good game and say, oh, all the pressure is self-inflicted, blah, blah, blah. That's another cute key. And I think I'm just going to leave this on here for the time being because it's, but if I separate it, then I get discs, 2 different discs. Let's see, do I have a bigger set of pliers? Those have that crook in them. No, that's going to be the 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Let's see if this is any better. Anyway, yes, I was saying that the pressure is self-inflicted in most cases because typically as women, and I know there may be some men watching, but as women are notorious, excuse me, for our inability to say no. So we say yes because somebody special asked, or it's a really good cause, or we know that, excuse me, that we can bring our talents and our gifts to the situation, and it's going to be, we have something to contribute, so of course we should. Someone has clearly recognized our genius. So we should, of course, share our talent. However, every time we say yes to something, the reality is that we're saying no to ourselves. And I'm not suggesting in any way, shape, or form that we start saying no to everything, because that would be bad. But I think we have to be very selective about what we say yes to. Now, if you remember Shonda Rhimes, she's a genius behind some of the most popular TV series out there. I think Grey's Anatomy. I mean, I haven't watched regular TV for so long, I've forgotten many of these things. But if you Googled her, Shonda, Shonda, you would see that she has been exceptional. She's like the current, in the current generation of really clever TV series creators. Why does this not want to open up even? She, I guess, was in the habit of saying no all the time. So she actually wrote a book, and I have it, and I've read it, about how she basically told herself, I don't know what year that was, that she was going to say yes to everything. Because sometimes we can talk ourselves out of saying yes. So that's sort of the polar opposite of what I'm just talking about. Those of us who can't say no will say yes to anything, or we do until we learn better, until we know better. or till our station in life changes, like maybe the kids leave or whatever. But that's still way too long to be saying yes. So that's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum are those people that say no to everything. And no could be out of fear, laziness, self-centeredness, whatever. And I'm not here to judge anyone's motivations. I'm just saying that is, there's that expression. You've probably heard it. Maybe you've used it. That if you want something done, you ask a busy person. Which one was I working on? Because there are those people that are on every committee, every initiative, they're the movers and the shakers. They're the people that make things happen in the family, in the community, in the workplace. And I'm hoping I'm doing this right because I can't see any other way to get this off. We have victory. So that's the size of that. So I'll just do a few more of these. Anyway, and then we also know that the opposite of that are those who don't do a darn thing. They never volunteer. They never are on a committee. They're the last ones to arrive and the first ones to leave, whether it's a meeting or a job setting. They never host anything. They never contribute to the potluck. It's just, they're kind of the freeloaders of life. So then, and some of it, I don't know that most people are truly black or white in that regard. We're all, depending on circumstances, a little bit of each. But I know that being the former, a mover and a shaker, does not come without its price. It does not come without its critics. So even if you are one of the few people that have stepped forward and said, yes, I'll be on that committee. Yes, I'll help with that initiative, that undertaking. There are always the armchair quarterbacks that thought you should have done it differently, or why didn't you do it faster, or, that kind of stuff. So this will be the last one I'll struggle with here. I don't know why these seem so weak and useless. Anyway, so that is that. But other times, I think maybe people genuinely do want to help, do want to be part of something, do want to contribute, but maybe they're just naturally shy or as I said, fearful. So I think if we're true to ourselves and if we're honest with ourselves, we can sort of assess pretty quickly which camp we fall into. Look at how gorgeous this is. Is that not great? I mean, it's a bit much all at once around one scrawny little neck, but it would certainly be cute once I get it apart. So once we assess who we are on the spectrum or where we are on the spectrum, we can decide that in the new year, and I'm not talking about resolution, goodness knows resolutions are almost a bad word. We can begin to take baby steps in the opposite direction. So if we say no all the time, we can be like Shonda Rhimes and start saying yes to opportunities and possibilities. If we say yes to everything, we begin to graciously, without getting into, our life story or or ripping anyone's head off, we can graciously decline the request, maybe suggest someone else who maybe has the same skill set or is looking to mingle a bit more or contribute a bit more. And we will find, I've used this analogy before, we will find that the world does not stop spinning on its axis if we put ourselves first for a change. So somewhere I have a piece of paper, like over a lifetime, I've forgotten a lot of things. Heck, in a video, I forget a lot of things. But I do remember reading this piece, and it was like a full page, one of those inspirational, ain't that true kind of things. Why am I having so much trouble closing this? I think sometimes these are made of heavier wires than others. I just don't want to lose it because this color is not that common. Anyway, the gist of this piece was that, sometimes we get swelled heads and we think that we're pretty hot stuff, and maybe if somebody's been pumping us up a bit, we really think we're it. So this was maybe a lesson in humility that, yes, we probably are pretty darn good, because, as humans, we that's sort of our birthright to be special. But the point of the piece was that if you want to know just how irreplaceable you are, put your hand in a pail of water and then take it out. And the hole that is left behind is the hole that you would leave behind. So maybe that's a bit harsh because, yes, when we die or whatever, there will be people that are sad and there will be people that will mourn our loss. But let's face it, no one is irreplaceable. We may be unique, we may be talented, we may be gifted, we may be totally incredible human beings. But hey, there are several billion more just like us. So don't feel I guess what I'm saying is don't feel particularly guilty if you say no. And maybe, it's like when we're trying to teach our kids some tasks. Maybe they're not quite old enough to actually be any good at what it is that we're teaching them. Whether it's, tying their shoes or making a bed or taking out the garbage or whatever. But we are trying to raise responsible, self-sufficient people, well-rounded human beings. So we go, and maybe you could substitute the word husband here occasionally, maybe if you need to. Occasionally, we think to ourselves, why it's taking so much longer to teach this kid anything than it would be if I did it myself. And that, no doubt, is true. But of course, the end goal would not be attained. So even if there's something going on in the community, or you'd like to be on a certain committee or something, but you know that you're trying to make yourself numero uno for a change. You're trying to look after your health and mental well-being. So you've decided to say no. And then you see that maybe your arch enemy or someone you don't have a great deal of confidence in has taken that position. Well, we have to also let go of the idea that our way or our contribution or our, what we would have brought to the table is the only thing that would have mattered or ensured its success or whatever. So even if Peggy Sue, insert the name of your choice, even if Peggy Sue is a bit of an airhead and hasn't kept her word ever, takes on commitments or only does things with her mouth and never with her hands, and there are those in every community and in every realm of life, we have to be prepared to live with the consequences. Just as we live with the poorly made bed, the, half-hearted attempt at cleaning a room or whatever. We live with it and we move on because we know, most of us know, that we can't do it all. And the sooner we learn that lesson, the healthier and saner we will be. So, yeah, you might have to look the other way. You might have to avert your eyes. You might have to avoid looking at all, because nobody needs, I can't see where that opening is. Nobody needs that guilt trip of thinking, oh, brother, she really botched that up. If I would have, the thing was a flop, the fundraiser, didn't make any money because I didn't have my hand on the rudder. Like, hey, c'est la vie. Whatever will be, will be. We're not responsible for every outcome in the world. And that, I know that was a tough thing for me to learn. But I think anybody who has overcommitted themselves, look how nice that is. Anyone who has overcommitted themselves, would it be crazy to make a journal based on on something like this? Like there's a built, if I could hold it, there is a built-in color scheme right here. We got the purple, we got the iridescent, we've got the shades of green. That aged bronze kind of look. Gorgeous. Let me check the time because this is, I'm probably 32 minutes maybe. I'll do this and then maybe I'll start saying goodbye because you know how that can go. Any of us who have overcommitted ourselves know that insanity lies that way. Oh, I'm thinking that's elastic, but you know what? I don't. It might not be. That's a good way to wreck some scissors. Are these the little guys that I determined the other day aren't cutting very well anymore? Yeah, that's some sort of metal. Although there is some expansion in there. What I thought was, oh, you know what? I thought I could cut it off and keep the 3, whatever, the clear or this orangey, what color is that? Citrine color, brown color, together. And I'm thinking, oh, that would be cute as bling. It would be like nicer than bling. But each one of these things is somehow attached. And if I keep doing that, I'll end up with all these individual pieces. So maybe what would be better, got a missing stone there and there. So maybe what would be better is leave this as it is. And then when a person has a project and wants to zhuzh something, oh, look, and zhuzh something up, just cut off the section then. Maybe I want 1.5 inches. So cut it, well, let me just show you. I'm glad you asked. Now, if my name was Tina from Shabby Dabby Doodah, you can be sure that I would add this to something. There's a problem there. Anyway, sometimes you just can't look that closely. But yeah, okay, that'll be the plan for this. Okay, so I'll just work on a couple more of these and wind my little. I'll crawl down from the soapbox. Okay, what am I supposed to do here? Maybe I should separate it there, then this part could stay intact. I like these because they fit in my hand. They're sort of a, a feminine sized thing. But they're also kind of weak and puny, so I might have to steal some from my husband. He's got tools coming out the yin-yang. See, I can't even budge that. Yeah, so anyway, I think that the end of the year is a natural time for reflection. It's not that easy to do it, though, because, of course, there are so many obligations and distractions and people everywhere. Thought I just heard my phone. Is it? Yeah, it's still working. So many things going on. It's not easy to have a moment of silence or a bit of peace to even think. But I strongly suggest that this is a good time of year, or the dog days of January is a good time to do some introspection. Not only, sort of sizing up how you did, assuming that you set some goals for 2023, and did you reach them or did you not? That's a good process to go through. Carrie the Paper Monkeys Junk Journal Vision Board has, I think, helped people think about, and if not verbalize, then certainly commit to paper some goals, some outcomes that a person wants. I don't believe in setting I don't believe in the whole resolution thing, because I think we have a chance every morning that we wake up to resolve to do better, do different, do whatever is the thing we need to do in our lives. So there's nothing magical about January 1st. But it definitely, I think, is a good idea to take time to do some of that reflection whenever you can. Again, there's nothing magical about January 1st. Maybe your day is Groundhog Day. February 2nd, that's the day you take a look at what's what and where you stand and where you're going and all of that. Would help if I could see where the little opening is. This is a heavier ring too, so this one will not go quietly. And if and when you do that, and doing it in silence is preferable. Doing it, committing some things to paper. If only we had a journal to write in, is even better. It sort of signals to the universe that we're aware, we're paying attention, and we're asking for some help. And, if you're religious, that you could think, oh, that means divine intervention. That means, prayers answered. Certainly that is legit. Okay, what am I trying to do here? Oh, I wanted to slip that off. Not everybody is religious. Not everybody has those beliefs. But I believe that there is enough, if not scientific, then certainly anecdotal evidence out there that, life is energy, and these things, and what we focus on manifests. So that's the pop psychology wisdom for today. And what am I doing here? Maybe I should take that one off. Then that little guy can be on there. That can be on there. Okay, I have a plan. So yes, if we don't know, that there's a quote for every occasion. If we don't know where we're going, any path will take us there. This almost looks like it's been soldered closed. I must have the wrong spot. Sure gusty wind out here today. Oh, and I'm getting pretty excited. The weatherman pointed out the other day that in a few short days, the days will start getting longer. So instead of losing a couple minutes of daylight every day, we will be going in the other direction and gaining some daylight. The other day, he said that the sun set at 4:15. That makes for a very long evening. And those of us in the northern latitudes, I've never been to the Northwest Territories of Canada, but, it's sort of the land of the midnight sun. So there are points in the year where the sun never sets. So it's light all. Lost track of what I was working on here. Was it this guy? It's got the little scratch mark. So yeah, probably this. Anyway, it, I can't imagine that because, for circadian rhythms, for the sleep cycle, we do need light and we do need dark, and hopefully in some kind of a reasonable measure. Oh my goodness, couldn't I have picked something where I don't look like a 98-pound weakling? Maybe if I tip this over, it'll have a little more leverage or something. Okay. Is that enough, though? And people in the northern hemisphere and northern latitudes where there is not much sunlight for, a few months, we tend to suffer from something called SAD, which is an acronym for seasonal affective disorder. And people like that, and I thought there was a time in our lives where actually my husband and I needed that. So we have a light box, a light source. I can't remember now if it's a special type of light or whatever. But the whole idea is that some people really cannot function, and it's sort of, really life-altering for them to be able to have light therapy every morning when they wake up and, sit in front of this thing. It's a passive process. You just sit there with this, in the vicinity of this light box, and it helps reset the things, that part of one's brain, I guess, so that it looks like there's enough daylight and whatever to keep one healthy. I'm just going to take this skinny little ring off because I'm getting wiped out from this. Oh, that isn't what I meant to do. Where's that little guy? Oh, there it is. Yeah, so anyway, the days will start to get longer now. In the height of summer, the longest day of the year, day meaning daylight, which is the spring equinox, about June 21st or 20th or 19th or somewhere around there. it doesn't get dark here till almost, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. So people love that. Okay, I quit. You know what I need? A little white flag that I can wave when I surrender. When the supplies are getting the best of me, when the process is getting the best of me, I can just say, okay, I give up. Would I though? No, I wouldn't. I'm not a quitter. Anyway, this is sort of what we have here. I hope that if you have some jewelry, that you take some time to break, because you can see it doesn't happen quickly necessarily, that you take some time to break it down in, I still have to work on this one, into usable pieces. So that when you want to reach for something, you need something turquoise, you think, yes, I have this, I have this. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. And I haven't been pressing you lately to subscribe. We're kind of languishing at the, 600 and some subscribers. So I think we got to, turn on the heat a little bit here. We've got to keep this channel growing. And that only I'm trying to do my part. It only happens if you guys, pull the trigger and hit the subscribe button. Talk it up among your friends and so on. Anyway, we shall see you in the next one. Bye.